I was talking to a friend of mine. Come on over here, Carol.
Oh.
I told you before, let me say this again, that first of all, that the topless craze, if you want to call it the topless thing here in San Francisco, has certainly added new impetus, new impact, new interest to the nightclub scene in San Francisco. It's put the nightclub action in the Bay Area back on the map, really, I think. Created new excitement, not only for natives, but for the thousands of visitors every day that come to San Francisco. And along with the topless craze, or the topless fad, or the topless trend, or whatever, has come the girl dancers, the swim dancers, and one thing and another. And on the heels of this has come the gals who are taking the silicone injections to make themselves more bosomy than they were originally constructed by nature. Right? And this has been done by, I would say, I only know of a few here in the city, but I would say there are a number of girls who have done this, some in show business, some not. There's been some coverage in the newspaper on this thing and so on, but there are so many questions that were in my mind that are unanswered about the silicone injections, and I'm sure in your mind too. And the only way to get these answered really is, number one, to go to a doctor who does this and is inclined perhaps to be very technical, and is also would be inclined, I think, perhaps not to be able to answer some of the questions that occur to me, because these could only be answered really by a girl who has actually taken these injections. And I would guess the most famous today is, or infamous, as the case may be, is Miss Carol Doda, who appears nightly at the Condor as a dancer.
Starting tonight.
Carol's been, she's been ill. You had the flu and then mononucleosis?
No. They thought I had mononucleosis, but I had a virus infection.
A virus infection. I've known Carol a long time. I've known you, Carol, almost 4.5 years. You know that? It's been that long?
It has.
That's right. You look a little different now.
Thank you.
I want to ask you, you're going to have to move in closer, Elsa, here.
Yeah.
To me, not to the microphone, to me.
Oh.
There. That's it. I want to ask you a few questions. I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want to put you on the spot. And if I ask any questions...
I'm beyond embarrassment.
Are you really?
Yes.
But if I ask anything and you feel that you don't want to answer it, you just say, well, I just, because I certainly don't want to put you on the spot. The first thing I want to ask you is, what were your dimensions before the silicone treatments or injections?
Oh, I think they were about 35.
35. And now what are your dimensions?
I don't know. It keeps growing.
More, well, roughly 40-something?
40-something. I don't know.
Yeah. When did you first hear about silicone injections, breast injections, bosom injections, whatever the word would be?
I heard about it from a doctor.
A doctor?
Mm-hmm.
And you decided to do it? I mean,
it took me about a month to make up my mind. But I thought if I was going to be in this field, after all, that's what you're showing is your bosom. You might as well be bosomy.
Well, listen, Carol, today women wear eyelashes, false eyelashes, spend millions of dollars on cosmetics. Men wear toupees. We do everything humanly possible to make ourselves more or less attractive, more appealing. I don't think that that there's any question about why you. Not in my mind. I think that a girl's dimensions today are probably more important than they ever were before for a number of reasons.
Well, mainly it is for the person themselves, for the woman themselves.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you wouldn't think so, but it is.
And as a performer, it's quite important to you. It's your stock in trade.
Yes, it is.
If you were a singer and something had to do with your voice,
I had
you'd
to have
do anything
an operation
humanly
on
possible.
my voice, yes.
You'd do anything possible to keep your voice or make it better. So you went to a doctor. I'd rather not mention any doctor's names.
No, I'd rather not either.
That's very important.
That's not ethical.
You went to the doctor and took your first injection. Is it one injection per treatment, or is there more than one injection?
Yes, you go every week until he thinks that you've had enough.
He gives you one injection on each side.
In each one.
Yes, every week.
Yes.
Is it painful, the injection itself?
Well, anytime anybody sticks a needle into you, there's going to be some amount of pain. But first he anesthetizes. How do you say?
Anesthetizes or
yes,
uses anesthetic?
The skin,
Mm-hmm.
And then he puts it looks like a horse needle to me.
I would think
so.
Yeah,
he injects the silicone in all different parts of the...
Oh, it's not just one injection. In other words, it's a series of injections.
One injection at a time.
Uh-huh.
In all different... Well,
in other words, for one treatment, he would place the needle in you more than once.
Oh, well, depending on the shape of the breasts. I guess we can say that.
Well, the the fluid itself, I just got this information as it happens from a doctor, is called medical fluid.
Oh wait.
No, these are just some notes. You couldn't even read them. Medical fluid 350, and in its pure form, it looks almost like mineral oil. That's what he told me. Now,
It's a silicone is a uh, mixed with carbon. It's a pure.
when was your first injection? When did you take your first treatment?
Oh, over a year ago.
Over a year ago.
Hmm.
And then you go back every week until the development is such that that's what you want,
Yes.
and that's what, and then you stop.
Yes.
But the doctor that I spoke to told me that 15 to 25% of the silicone disappears in the body, and that there must be booster shots. Is that true? Have you had to have booster shots?
I haven't noticed it disappearing. I mean, this is the only fluid that the tissue will grow around.
In other words, this fluid is never absorbed by the body, never taken into the body, supposedly.
No, this is the only thing that is um, um, that the tissue will grow around. The other things that they've tried, like paraffin and all these other sorts of things, would eventually you would lose it. It would go, it would leave your body.
But this portion of this does disappear into the body.
No,
No,
it settles. It settles down. It settles around. When you first put it in, it's very solid, and then as time goes on, it settles around. It spreads around, and it becomes soft, just like the.
Well, how many treatments have you had so far?
I couldn't count them.
You don't know.
No.
No. Are you still taking them? Is it necessary for you to keep going back and taking them?
No, it's not necessary anymore.
Can I ask you this? Has there been any discomfort whatsoever since your first treatments?
No, the only thing is, when you are taking the series, well, it is kind of it is kind of sore, but that is because you've been injected by a needle, but it's only sore for a couple days after the treatment.
But this is the question. This is the thing that I wonder most about. This is so new. This is the kind of thing.
It's not really that new.
It isn't.
They've been perfecting it in Japan for 12 years. In fact, that's where it started, was in Japan.
So
Dr. Sakurai.
So there's no question in your mind that it's safe. I mean.
Well, I'm.
I mean, if it were me, if it were any kind of a treatment, anything at all that has to do with the body, and the doctor said, of course, we've been working on this 12 years now, and we're pretty sure that it's all right. But if there were any question about, I for myself would be hesitant. I might say, well, okay, let's wait, until you test it on some more mice or whatever they test these things on.
Well, now, wouldn't that look funny for a mice to have big bosoms?
Yes, that would make a lot of sense. But you felt that it was perfectly safe, that there was nothing whatsoever to worry about, and you went ahead with it. And so far, there's been no problem. Is that it? I mean, is that basically what you're saying?
Well, I don't know. I guess I felt that it was all right, or I, probably wouldn't have done it.
Has the question ever come up in your mind, though? Have you ever wondered, gee, I wonder if it really will work out?
No.
No?
I really,
you have
I really
faith in it, faith in your doctor and the whole thing.
Well, it's not that I do or I don't. I never I haven't thought about it.
I see. Now, as a result of this, have any of your friends in the business, in entertainment or out of it, have any of the girls you've known because of the success of your treatments and so on, have you kind of been a missionary to any of them? Have any of them gone in for treatments?
I don't know of any other entertainers. And if I did, I wouldn't.
Well, I wouldn't ask
any
you to
names.
mention names, but I just.
But I do. Mostly the people that write to me are housewives, and.
Wait a minute. Write to you. Now,
write to me, yes.
Do you get letters from?
Oh, many, many, many letters.
Asking you the questions I'm asking you, that kind of thing.
Asking me where and who.
How many, roughly? How many letters have you gotten? Have you gotten 100?
Oh no, I've gotten more than that.
Is that right?
And I've gotten them from all over the United States and some from Europe, too.
Asking the name of the doctor and how you go about this?
Yes, or, if there's a doctor that my doctor could refer them to if say they're not in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Is it expensive?
I think it costs about $1,000.
For the entire series of shots, you mean?
Well, I think for about 20 shots, it'd be about $1,000.
Now, you see, my knowledge of this thing is so sketchy, but it seems to me that I understood that this silicone and this treatment is not legal under the Food and Drug Administration.
Well, that is one formula, but it's not the other formula.
Oh, there is
that is the Sakurai formula that isn't.
They're not allowed to use that.
No, but the ones they are using now is the clear, like the doctor said here, the clear fluid.
Yeah,
it's
that looks
clear.
like mineral.
It's okayed, but it's DuPont, I believe, puts it out.
Well, do you know what he said to me, Carol, that I thought was interesting? He said that one of his concerns about this
Mm-hmm.
is that cancer of the breast is detectable by X-ray. But once silicone is used,
Mm-hmm.
then X-ray is useless in that area. They can't tell anything from an X-ray. And he said, from his point of view, that would be one of the if there are no ill effects, nothing, if it's the most wonderful thing in the world, the mere fact that it makes X-ray non-usable to look for cancer of the breast, he felt that is a serious drawback to these treatments.
He is a specialist in this,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
in
Uh-huh.
in the injections.
No, 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 not in the injections.
In what is he a specialist in?
He is just a plastic surgeon. Listen, we're running short of time.
Oh, he is a plastic surgeon.
Yeah, I just noticed we're short of time, and we're going to have to cut this short. This is Miss
right.
Carol Doda, and I thank you for coming. These are just questions that were kind of bugging me, and I
Well,
think,
I'm glad I cleared up your mind.
yes,
And
you
anytime
did.
you want injections, let me know, and I'll tell you a good doctor.
and I'm glad you're back to work and you feel better.
Thank you.
When he takes time off from his golf game, Buddy Greco amuses himself with such things as singing, piano playing, arranging, conducting, producing record sessions. What do you do in your spare time?
I don't know. It's a funny thing, Jack. My wife uh, says this now. He's a golfer, part-time singer. I'm playing a lot of golf, but I'm also doing a lot of work, I'm happy to say.
If your game, I know you shoot a great game of golf, and I know you've won tournaments, but if your game got to the point where, you really felt you could do it, would you quit the entertainment business and join the pro circuit?
Now, you know I'd never do that. No, I've been in my business almost 20 years and very successful, I'm happy to say. And my biggest thrill, Jack, is playing with Kenny, Venturi, and Palmer and guys like that. But my first love is my work. I would never leave it.
Of course, you're branching out now, and I think that's kind of an exciting thing for you, isn't it?
I'm very excited, Jack. I signed with Reprise as you said, as a pianist and conductor, and I'm producing records. I'm going to do Frank's new album. Uh, I am now with Paramount Pictures. I have a TV series that's coming out next year, and I'm
Really? What kind of a TV series?
Well, we're going to do a thing. They're looking for a John Garfield kind of a guy, which I resemble, I guess.
You do. You know, until this very moment, I never thought about it, but you do.
And they're looking for a rough guy who's still a lovable guy. It's like a detective who's with the law and yet sort of on the fringe, you know.
Yeah.
And it's a physical thing, and I'm very happy with it. In fact, after we get through here, I'm doing a combat, and I'm doing things like that just to see, what we're developing into. But this is what they're looking for me.
Well, have you ever done any acting per se before, real acting?
No, it's funny. They asked me this when I did my screen test. I believe, Jack, being in the business as long as I have, that when you're out for an hour and a half, and you're making people laugh, cry, where you could get 900 people and keep them quiet for an hour and a half, that you are basically acting. This is a good basis for any actor. And once I'm in the profession, my wife, as you know, was an actress. My dearest friends are actors. Then I will go into it deeply. I eventually would like to do about 2 or 3 pictures a year and maybe work 5 or 6 clubs because, as I say, I've been on the road for 20 years, and now, thank heavens, I don't have to do it anymore, really.
But you don't ever really want to get away from the music.
Oh, no, never.
But when you started years ago playing piano in a band,
Right.
did they let you sing? Were you doing any singing then?
Oh, yes. In fact, before I went with Benny Goodman, I had my trio. I had 2 hit records when I was 16. And I gave all of that up to join Benny Goodman for 4 years as singer, pianist, and arranger, Jack. Oh, yeah, I've always sung.
Anywhere along the line, have you found that you've changed course, that you had one thing in mind for your future and it's developed into something else, that you were going to do this and it never worked out? And have you always had this one thing in mind, the thing that you've gotten to today? Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean, Jack. I have always, I think from the moment I started to play and sing when I was 5, had one direction. And this is it, where I'm at right now. This, I hope, is the beginning of the direction that I would like to do. Because I'm very fortunate that I play, that I write music, and I want to try everything. But this is exactly where I've always wanted to go.
What about the move to Frank Sinatra's record company? Think that's going to change your recording, your attitude toward recording your finished product?
It has. I've had many friends of mine like yourself that said to me the new album is a different Buddy Greco. It's the first time they've really captured me because, not mentioning the other record company, Reprise leaves me alone. I could do what I want, sing the type of songs. I help the arrangers write the type of things. And I'm very comfortable. Plus the fact it's family. You know, they've got Frank and Dean and Sammy, and this is our little group. You know, where are you going to go from here?
And spaghetti dinners.
And spaghetti dinners, right?
And you're going to produce Frank's new album.
Yes, I am. I'm doing an album with Frank where I'm arranging the album, producing it, and also conducting.
Does that mean you select the numbers?
No, you don't select anything for him. You know, he knows what he wants, but I'm going to sketch the whole thing and conduct, which is going to be a big thrill for me.
Who do you think is the greatest popular singer in the business today? Do you think there's any question about it?
There's no question. Frank is still the man, to me anyway. And
did he influence your style, do you think?
no, strangely enough, the people who influenced my style many years ago were Billy Eckstein, Nat Cole, and in the female department, Dinah Washington. And now it's very funny, if I may say this in all honesty, Jack, to go not only here but in Europe and in the Philippines and hear guys doing me, which was just a big thrill, you know.
Well, it had to come.
Well, I hope so, you know.
I imagine it is a funny feeling to be a long way from home. Here's somebody doing your kind of material, your style, your approach.
It's the first time I heard a man in England. His name is Ronnie Carroll. I went to a show one night and he was there, and I didn't believe what I heard. I got mad at him first, and my wife said, "What, are you kidding? That's the biggest form of flattery, you know." So I'm very thrilled with it.
With it all, do you have any trouble sustaining some kind of a family life?
Unfortunately, yes. I'm not at home in Los Angeles as much as I would like to be, but this year, Jack, we are finally going to build our house, and we're going to have some children. And now that I'm doing pictures and so on, I'm not going to travel as much.
Mm-hmm. You're going to stay off the road.
Yes.
I've got to ask you this last question because it's my favorite question. I ask everybody this. If you have any control over it, and many times we don't, when the family comes along, when the youngsters come along, would you want them to take your profession? Would you want them to go into this? But now you know the good times and you know the bad times, and you know how tough it can be. Would you want a son to go into the music business, into the entertainment business?
I have 3 children from my previous marriage, and I would not in any way influence my children to do anything that they didn't want to do professionally. I have my son who's a drummer. My 2 daughters have recorded with me. I think it's like a mother taking a daughter to ballet lessons to groom them. I would love them to learn this business artistically. But if they wanted to go into it, I wouldn't help them. I want them to do it like I did it.
But you wouldn't stop them either.
Oh, no, not at all. But I wouldn't influence them either. It depends what they feel inside.
But you feel the business has a lot to offer to someone,
yes.
to a youngster, a lot of gratification, a lot of happiness, really.
It's the most marvelous business in the world.
Well, I'm excited about the television show, because now you
am
said
I.
John Garfield, I keep looking at you. Do you know the name of the show yet? What's
No,
it gonna call?
I don't know. We're doing the pilot after I get through working here.
Gee, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you,
I hope
Jack.
it happens.
So do I. I hope so.
It's been a real pleasure, buddy.
Thank you, Jack.